Hey there, goblins. Welcome to another episode of Goblin Salvage Rites.
We live!
We live!
Well, he does.
I live. My name's Robert.
I'm Eric.
And today we're going to be talking about building better one-shots.
Yeah.
We've got 6 pieces of advice for you to build better one-shots.
Yeah, they're also advised to us because, this is kind of how we do it. It's not the way to do it, but
Yes.
I think between the two of us and our styles, this kind of covers the most bases.
Absolutely. This isn't all of our advice. We have to leave room for the second and third episodes on this topic. I'm going to talk about, Eric picked 3 suggestions. We actually wrote 6 each. We picked 3 of the others that we really liked, and then we made a list of 6 for you. But first, just wanted to update all the goblins who haven't seen or heard. About 2 months ago, I almost died.
It was not awesome.
I don't want to, take too long, but basically I was on a fishing trip and my intestines got a hole in them. And I went to the hospital for about a week, got out of the hospital, went back in the hospital, got out of the hospital, had some medical equipment attached to me semi-permanently.
I was a taxi cab.
Yes, Eric helped out immensely. So yeah, I've been in recovery mode. That's why we haven't posted an episode. It really sucks. But the good news is I'm getting better. I feel really good right now. And there's a 50-50 chance that next week I'll be going into surgery to get any stuff that's left over kind of scraped out of there. And if it goes without complications, I'll be perfectly fine again. So we'll be resuming our normal schedule hopefully soon. We may miss another posting. So this might be the only post this month. But I'm doing good. I'm doing better. Yeah. Everything is fine now. I haven't had a fever in 3 or 4 weeks. So it's awesome. And I'm not on antibiotics anymore. I've been off antibiotics for another 3 or 4 weeks. So things are good and they're getting better. So cheers to
well done,
living long and prospering.
Ow, my eye. Well, my professional life almost died. So I got fired in middle June, and ever since then I've been looking for work. So my headspace has not been productive for this sort of enterprise.
Yeah.
I think in different ways we're both trying to climb back onto our saddles and push forward a little bit.
If you are looking or know of anyone who's hiring a incredible writer, creator, logistics expert, Eric is looking for work, goblins. So hit us up in the Discord, links down in the doobly-doo, post a comment, let us know if you have an opportunity for either of us. And
I don't suck.
Eric's great. He's one of my favorite people I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a lot of really great people, and I mean that. I would hire him if I could. So
who else I would hire if we could?
¿Qué pasó?
I think there's a new patron.
There is.
Floating around in the ether somewhere. The Goblin Stew.
Sean Ventura.
Sean the Body Ventura.
Sean Goblin Detective.
Goblin Detective.
Isn't it
Green Ears of the Night.
What is it? Ventura Pet Detective? Wasn't that
Ace Ventura Pet Detective? Ace Ventura.
Sean Ventura. Goblin Detective.
You see, at least I threw the crowd a wrestler.
He's an investigator. He's our investigator. Oh yeah, of course I will. Jim Carrey.
Yeah, he'd be like a druid or ranger investigator.
Oh
Ace Ventura.
Yeah,
I don't know which would be forward and which would be backwards. But,
we'll cook that up on the Patreon.
And all crazy, which of course means goblin.
Yeah.
So Shawnee boy, thanks for joining the chaos here.
Absolutely.
And hope you stick around.
So Eric, it's been a while.
It's been a moon. I
may not have been in the. I may have been in the hospital, but that doesn't mean I missed a game.
No, of course not. You are a nerd's nerd, my friend.
So, the what we played section could take an entire episode.
No, please no.
I'm going to fast forward what I played. Bloodlords has been going very good.
Yay, Kyle!
Yay,
and company.
We're killing it, literally and figuratively. We're 8th level now.
8th level?
We're 8th level.
My Rise of the Runelord character is 2nd.
That's awesome.
It really is.
That's a play-by-post,
that
baby.
Means archetypes.
Yeah.
But we're talking about you first.
Oh, yeah. So my character is he no longer only speaks in haiku. he speaks normally.
Did you level out of haiku or something?
I literally
spend downtime having to unlearn it and learn something else?
I got so frustrated with not
Yeah.
with it. Like the meme was fun, but I didn't. I'm naturally the voice of a party. So when the voice of the party only speaks in haiku,
super restrictive.
And also my character has a really high charisma and is really good at diplomacy and perform poem.
Right.
So what had happened is during one of our adventures, we went below under the water to defeat a hag who lived in an underground Urgathoan temple. And in that moment, not only did we defeat her, but we destroyed an idol to a false god, another evil god that was kind of like, taking over the temple. And after doing that, I begged for Urgathoa's help in regaining my memory and being able to speak normally again. And then slowly over episodes, Toku slowly but surely began to
that's cool.
Figure out how to talk. And then I can't remember the moment, but it was like this really funny moment where someone said something dumb and then Toku just turned around and be like, please ignore him. He's not talking well or something like that. And the whole party was just like, oh, and then Robert turned to the party and I was like, by the way, that's the first time you've ever heard him speak. That wasn't.
Please tell me somebody conducted an exorcism to get Shalin out of you.
I don't think that happened. God. No, that would have been cooler.
That needs to
though.
be a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Kyle, are you taking notes? But yeah, so 8th level exemplar with a...
I'm sure that's no small amount of chicanery.
It's actually not as... I'm kind of disappointed in the lack of options.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm realizing now that the way that they've structured the requirements for these different feats, you look at the 8th level list of feats and there's 6 or 8 of them. But they're all earmarked for class choices. Okay. So when you get to 8th level, you really have 2 options. Maybe 3.
Yeah.
And that was kind of disappointing.
That's anticlimactic.
But I got the option to get a 4th icon, which is big. And I looked at all of them. And I was pretty mid on all of them. I was like, meh.
Is it just that level or has it been that way for 4, 6 to 8?
It's been that way since, for a couple levels now.
Kind of stinks.
Yeah, there's a lot of choice to be made at the very beginning of the class, and then it narrows significantly. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the kineticist. Actually,
sure.
The kineticist is very I guess
so because the theming is so tight with certain classes as opposed to others.
Yeah, the theming on the exemplar is very tight, but it's a rare class, so I give it excuse. Right. But yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm a champion of the Children of the Night, which is
a pantheon of baddies, right?
Pantheon that includes Urgathoa.
Okay.
But also vampire god, 2 vampire gods, a ghoul god, the werewolf god, and then 2 Eastern gods.
Is this in the AP or did you guys sort of make this up?
No, this is an official pantheon, but it's not in the AP.
Gotcha. Okay.
So my character is kind of
like the gothic monsters of Hammer films all crammed into a pantheon.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
And my character is building himself up to be a prophet who brings the Dark Lords together. That's kind of what my angle I'm taking. You know what I mean? I'm a steward of our dark fellowship.
Nice.
That's kind of how I'm spinning it.
Right. The Bone Prophet.
And it's cool. I'm having a really good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Edgewatch is still trucking along 3 years later. We hit a really cool...
we're gonna outpace you one day with our leveling, I think.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
In like a
Probably
week.
Gonna happen in 20 minutes. So we had a really cool reveal this time. I don't know if you remember a Mrs. Honeywell from way back in the beginning, and I decided to integrate her more tightly instead of just having her be a throwaway NPC. So she's the grandmother of one of the player characters, and she's been sitting around in the background, just doing things, and quietly things have been unfolding. Well, this part of the AP that we're in right now is basically a riff on the assault on Precinct 13, the movie. So it's kind of a tower defense scenario. And I wasn't able to run it as is because my delightful players decided to fuck all of my plans at once with a very specific set of decisions one after another. And I just had to throw the book out the window. So I kept that chapter. And I decided to use that as a flashback to a long time ago. And it's the same chapter way back when Elmo Zbigniew Barley Bramble's ancestor, whose name is Zbigniew, so his namesake. This is his story. And it's I'm basically doing the tower defense thing in 2 separate parts of the timeline to keep that matrix, what has come before is coming again, will come again in the future, that cyclical nature. So Elmo and Vaz and Ajax and company are going through a version right now in modern day Absalom that Elmo's ancestor went through way back then. And in the modern timeline, it's supposed to be one of the Nogoroberites, that's the prisoner. We had to swap that out with somebody. That was part of their decision-making that derailed it. But in the past, it's Nyctivirax, who is the Umbral Dragon in the present. So it's the same NPC way back in the timeline. So we know minimum she's like 200 years old, but she's older. And more importantly, there's this love interest kind of thing going on, a little bit of like Sherlock and Watson, but the Watson's a female halfling. And Zbigniew is, the male halfling. And he's the Sherlock, and she's kind of the Watson, but she's a street urchin. And she's got some weirdo Paizo name that's ridiculously long. And partway through the adventure, they had sort of like this little side chat when nobody else was looking, because they've been partnered for many, many years at this point, the CI thing. And now she's his Watson. As the NPC, I floated the question, you've been telling me for years you're going to tell me what your name means. Zbigniew? That just sounds like a made-up thing. Nobody knows a person named Zbigniew. What does it mean? And Jacques kind of told us, yeah, it means to defray one's anger or something along those lines. And I said, okay, great. And I just kind of fucked off out the door. And he's like, no. Come on, tit for tat. What does your name mean? I forgot what I named her, but again, it was that long one. I don't know. My auntie told me that it means something like honey of the well. And then she left. So the part of the bloodline that leads from Honeywell to Elmo in the present timeline, it started with Zbigniew Barley Bramble, who's sort of like the apex Barley Bramble in the timeline, the champion, the one we all, talk about centuries later. I'm related to that guy. I've got Thomas Jefferson in my bloodline.
Yeah.
This is that way. But the origins of Mrs. Honeywell is what we're doing now. And this session coming up should be an even better reveal, I think. So I'm super stoked. I'm happier than I've been in a long time with the whole unfolding of the
When's the next game?
We just played a few days ago, so 2 weeks from now. I think that's right. Yeah, that's right. So I got a lot of time to make sure I nail that puppy. Anyhow,
yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Love to hear it. Yeah. Awesome. So that's what we played.
Yup.
Let's jump into the topic. The topic. These are 6 nuggets of advice for running a one-shot.
Yeah, a one-shot. How do you define a one-shot real quick so we know what parameters we're working with here?
Well, thank you so much for asking. We wrote a little description.
We did.
So I wanted to make
Goblin
sure that
preparation at its finest.
We had 2 months to prep this episode. So the goal of a one-shot is to tell a full, satisfying story in one sitting. One singular sitting. There are so many stories of one-shots turning into 3 shots, turning into 5 shots. So
I resemble that remark.
I tell you what, now that I think about it, the only time I ran a one-shot that turned into a multiple shot is when I ran, I think the one I just ran, the Pirates one. It's one of the Paizos.
2 sessions?
That was 2 sessions. Mm-hmm. That's the only time that's ever happened. All the
Sundered
other
waves,
one-shots I've ever run were written by me. Mm-hmm. And by written, I mean pulled out of my ass. And they always took 1 session, which is interesting. Not to say, I'm not trying to put any blame on anything. It's just how it turned out.
Yeah.
So we're not cramming a campaign into one night. We're building focused, complete experiences that ends right when the table does.
Yep.
Right? So there's a beginning, a middle, and an end in 4-ish hours?
4 to 5. I tend to think of 5-hour chunks in my brain.
Yeah,
I don't know why. But like when you run on Thursdays, we only get 2 hours, 2.5 tops.
If we're lucky, yeah.
So all of this presumes a 4 or 5 hour chunk.
A good session.
Standard convention timing.
So we need to keep it sharp, fast, easy to picture.
And complete.
So if a design choice doesn't serve that goal of one sitting session,
stick it in a cannon and do what with it?
Yeet it. Yeet it into the campaign can.
Dwarf yeet it into the clouds.
So we're not running a campaign here. We're trying to tell a succinct story. One shots are a great way to test out
discrete ideas.
Yes. Or, they're often jumping boards for a campaign. Like if there's a cool campaign idea that you want to run by your players, you can design a one shot that's in that universe with the same kind of goal or feeling that whole campaign has.
Yeah.
Just to test the waters.
It's like floating a test balloon.
Exactly.
See how people react to it.
So these are the 6 key things we think you should keep in mind. They're not the only key things. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, we had Eric and I wrote 6 pieces of advice. And then we chose 3 pieces from each other.
I actually did 10 because I tend to do these things in
course
groups
you
of 10,
did.
but I only sent you 6.
And I only actually wrote 5 because I forgot we're supposed to write 6. I had another and I literally whittled it down.
That's why neither of us could do this on our own.
It would be terrible.
We wouldn't have the numbers.
So, Eric, I think this is yours.
Yeah. So
let's get started.
It's actually both of ours. We came up with ours away from each other, and then we picked from the other person's list.
And
so
that's kind of why we did that. Yeah.
Start with a strong idea. That's a no-brainer. But what does that mean here? So the way I look at it is you need to be able to put the entire session into one sentence with a period at the end.
Yeah.
No ands and thens and thens and thens and thens. No, one single sentence. So this sentence needs to be able to answer the following. Who is doing what? Why does it matter? And why is it happening now and not like tomorrow morning or next week? So an example of this would be something like this. Before the sandstorm hits, the party must retrieve a cursed relic buried beneath the oasis. That's 3 things. You need a person doing something, you need a time constraint, and you need a location for them to do it. If you have all of those 3 things in one sentence, it almost doesn't matter what else comes next.
Yeah.
You can deepen ideas by adding to it, but that's not what this conversation is. We only have 4 to 5 hours to get it done.
Yeah. This
sentence.
is a clear and concise goal.
Yeah.
It is the players have to go do this. And what's really important here is that the thing they have to go do is not hard to understand.
Sure.
There is
straight lines.
There is a straight line.
Yep.
There is a black dragon in the swamp next to the town that has been guarding a relic. And you need to go get that relic because there's an apocalypse coming.
Yeah. And do X with it, whatever that is. That needs to be in the sentence.
And act
like once you get to the location and interact with the noun, how do you verb it?
Right.
So that's kind of that's really what it comes down to. At the end of the day, this entire list is all going to be about how do you get the most verbs out of your sentences. But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So that leads to, the second part of this statement. Cut everything that doesn't serve that sentence. My personal, when you were talking about like, you got to cut this down, cut it down if it doesn't belong, cut it down. I'm that guy. I like to add the and thens and thens and thens, and my 1-offs become 12-offs. So instead of saying like, well, the artifact we're going for under the oasis that we need to get before the sandstorm hits, it's a relic that belongs to the family tree of the party fighter. And I like that because I want to make the fighter feel like he's integrated into the story and it's necessary. That's cool. That's fun. That's going to make me do other things. That will turn this into a 6-hour game, a 9-hour game, a 12-hour game. One sentence, 3 elements to that sentence, and then Eric shuts his trap. Adding a timer or a pressing threat, I think, is a really, really, really smart way to say, hey, guys, we got 5 hours to do this, and then we're done.
Great. I'm glad you said that because it's one of our suggestions.
It is. And I thought that might be a good segue, and I believe this was on your list. So why don't you take it away?
Oh, you want to jump around? We had them numbered, Eric.
We do, but you made that comment, and I wondered.
Okay, that's fair.
Go to number 2. That's fine.
Yeah. We'll get
because this was yours as well.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to make sure that your players the player characters already know each other. A lot of wasted time comes from an hour of your players introducing themselves to each other.
Yeah.
Skip all that shit.
The minutia.
Skip all that shit.
Yeah.
You know, what I like to say is I like players to have a shared history. A great example of that is the adventure we just ran, what was it called? Sundered Waves, where all of the players, I mean, this was actually awesome. Paizo wrote like a one-shot adventure where there was like a whole half page of backstory.
Yeah, there's a roster of NPCs and they have predetermined motivations.
Yeah.
That reveal themselves through the adventure. It was pretty awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah. Really well written, except for the puzzles. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. It's on my list. But anyway, I know twist the knife. So my point here, though, is that they were all part of a pirate ship, a pirate gang. And then the pirate captain gave himself up and traded that for everyone else's freedom.
We didn't really need to understand each other's characters to understand why we're together.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. We were pirates. Okay.
Duh.
Let's move on.
Yeah. My personal one-shot universe I run a lot of my games in is called Esmeralda. And all the players work for the same assassins guild called the White Glove Society. Every one of them has a white glove. They all have a bespoke weapon that's special to them that I come up with before the session starts. Yeah. They get to make their character.
You establish the pattern and the individual characters have their riff on it.
And they're all working together.
Yeah.
They already know.
Pathfinder Society is literally that.
Exactly. And that's why Pathfinder Society is such a great basis for a one-shot kind of idea, these adventure lodges.
It gets the verbs moving faster.
Exactly. So start with a shared history or goals. Even simple connections like all a part of the same guild, like we said, or grew up together in the same town saves a lot of time. Your players already know each other.
Yep.
They can encourage yes ands as far as assumptions. So instead of your each player coming to the table with a whole history, let your players know that feel free in the moment to add on things to each other's character. So like when they're in the middle of combat, you could make a witty quip about how you fell over in an ant pile when you were a kid and everyone called you Lumpy, you know, and that's where your nickname
By the way, don't laugh
in.
at somebody if they tell you that. That's poor form. But that's funny.
It's pretty funny. I did that actually.
You're from Florida. So.
I literally fell into a pile of fire ants when I was
fell
kid.
into a vat of alligators. It was hilarious.
And they all came out, my minions.
That's how I learned how to wrestle.
And that's how I became a swarm keeper. A common objective or enemy makes cooperation natural. Use pre-session notes. One paragraph describing each player's connection to the group keeps everyone on the same page. So you can either, what I like to do is tell people where they're from, how they got there, and then let them fill in the rest, not in that moment,
right?
But as the story progresses.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because this particular one also corresponds with my list of favorite gaming experiences. You know, when we all have some sort of a combined connection, it just tends to make things sync better. I'm thinking specifically of the Shitty Dwarves campaign we did.
Yeah.
So because we were a family, a literal blooded family of dwarves, all of our characters were so wildly differently dysfunctional that we could have alliance type conversations, you know, where there's no real friction.
Yeah.
We could have just out and out fights and arguments. We're a family. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to like stab each other because one person's neutral evil and the other one's lawful good. We're family. So it's sort of, it encourages the group to lean into the things that make us similar as opposed to the things that make us separate.
Yeah.
And because we only have 4 to 5 hours to tell this story, we don't need to be sitting around going, well, my character wouldn't put up with this shit. He would put a stop to it right now. Just give them something to rally around and keep hitting that button.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3.
Tell us about focusing.
Focus on 2 memorable NPCs. That's non-player characters for you folks playing at home. And if you don't know that, then welcome to Goblin Salvage Rites, where we talk about tabletop RPGs and the mooks that play them.
These are core experiences you need. These are core terms you need to know, kids. Goblins at home, write these down.
So I picked 2 memorable NPCs because at the end of the day, you can go to a place and do a thing and retrieve a thing and sell the thing. And you can only do that story so many times before it kind of gets samey and boring. But we remember the people, the interesting people in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you work with that kooky dude who sings one song over and over as he's driving the forklift.
Yep.
30 years later, you don't remember that guy's name, but you remember that goddamn song because it took you years to get it out of your head.
Oh, this sounds like a personal experience.
Yeah, I may or may not have been that guy. So focusing on 2 memorable NPCs will make people be able to distinguish the adventures as they tell these stories further down the road. Like, man, remember that one game we played in? It was a Dark Sun game, and we had that crazy ass halfling that was always getting high before he took off on the pterodactyl, and we had to go fight that like sentient alligator in the oasis. I would remember that not because of the physical details, because all of Dark Sun kind of looks and feels the same more or less.
Yeah.
But the crazy ass halfling getting high and riding off on his pterodactyl, you're not going to see that's going to pass the silhouette test.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I mean by this.
So a good example of this in White Glove Society, which is the setting that I play all my stuff in, is there's a bartender. So the White Glove Society is kind of like imagine like a speakeasy. And your white glove is actually a magical item that lets you open specific doors, and they open into, when you use your glove, they open into this bar. And behind the bar is this half-orc bartender. It's always the same half-orc bartender.
Be nice to that guy.
And he makes you, he makes you a drink, a special drink. Each person gets their own special drink. And this drink is the most delicious drink you've ever had in your life. It's so delicious that after having it, all other food pales in comparison. You're always wanting for that one experience. That's how good it is.
Halflings hate this.
They do, or they love it. So
why are there so many halflings in this bar?
that's the.
I never see them anywhere else.
That's a really memorable character that everyone always. You know, they talk about the drink because I put a lot of emphasis on it, and it's so creative.
Yeah.
I come up with the drink for the person after they've already described the character,
Which is the end then.
a secret later. So that one bartender is always really popular, and then the leader of the guild is the guy, this suave elf who gives you your mission. So when you come in, he's kind of arrogant, but he's also very affable and makes like really snide remarks about wherever you're going, and talks about how the food isn't as good as it should be or something like that.
Sure.
Ooh, but there's this one really good place you should definitely check out. So he's telling you about like this half-orc warlord you have to assassinate, but also
check out the hoagies while you're there.
There's this corner, this little market. Yeah. So he's been everywhere.
And only that NPC does that thing, and that's how your players remember him going forward.
He's the guy who gave you the mission. Those are those 2 big NPCs.
Do you think it's more impactful to have one of those NPCs be the good guy and the other one be the bad guy that you have to defeat?
Well, it depends.
Or does it not matter? Just get 2.
Yeah, it depends on It depends on the kind of game you're running. In the case of White Glove Society, it's very monster of the week. So the person you're assassinating can have a lot of character, or they can have no character. And the game, like the one-shot fun, is all about the journey getting to them, and dispatching them. Or you could be, your target could be a non-monster humanoid with a lot of character, like the leader of some organization in a big city. And when the players arrive, they get to learn about him, and through context clues and asking around about him and blah, blah, blah. And they find out he's a real asshole, or he's a glutton, or he's whatever, or he has a really bad laugh. That could be a fun experience. But oftentimes in most games of, TTRPG and Pathfinder and D&D, your one-shots are going to revolve around not killing a humanoid interesting character, but attacking or overcoming some sort of monster.
Okay.
And so that's when I generally recommend the setup to have the interesting characters and not the payoff.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that answers that. You can have the 2 good guys, the 2 bad guys, or you can split the difference, and that will give you very different experiences.
I always recommend having at least one of these 2 be
an ally of sorts.
An ally character.
Yeah,
that way,
or whatever you're going to call it.
It's a lot easier to have a long conversation with an ally than it is an enemy.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that brings me to the next part of that. We're still focusing on our 2 memorable NPCs here. We picked one ally and one adversary. We gave them distinct goals, flaws, a quirk, or a visual hook. The example I have here on my page is Rhea, the archaeologist hiding her trembling hands. Halek, the rival who steals relics to save history. That's it. No, and then. Just give them a visual tick, or an auditory tick, or one of your 5 senses, a tick reflecting that.
And this is a bonus tip on top of this tip. So this is like, these are
double tip.
These are tip sprinkles.
This is a second angel on the pin.
We're putting sprinkles on top of the cupcake.
Uh-huh.
By choosing less, you actually give yourself freedom as a DM to just riff.
Yeah.
In the moment, someone's going to ask you a question you could have never prepped for. The less you tell people about the reality, the more what you say next comes off as being the truth.
Yeah. And that gives the players a chance to fill in the blanks along the way as well.
Exactly.
And worst case scenario, they're just interpreting your minimalist language to create movies in their head, and that's fine too.
I can't tell you how many times players have said, "Oh, I bet it's this, blah, blah, blah," or, "Oh, it'd be so funny if this was the case." And then later I just make that the case.
Right.
That is the case now. And they're like, "Oh, I knew it."
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew it because you said that and I did. That's what I made.
Because you're my unpaid writer. That's how you knew it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So the second part of this, after all that, is tie these 2 NPCs to the mystery or the goal.
Yeah.
In my personal experience and opinion, every interaction during this 4 to 5 hour session should reveal clues and push the story forward or force a choice. If it doesn't do any of those things, cut it out. I think that's pretty much it there. And then finally, give them a moment to shine, these 2 NPCs. Each NPC should have at least one scene somewhere in the 4 to 5 hour adventure where they affect the story dramatically. A moral dilemma, a fight, a revelation.
Yeah.
So for a quest giver, it might just be having that scene where they give the quest and then sort of why are they emotionally invested in it? Something that makes them memorable. I want you to go find the sacred olive loaf that will feed my family for generations. And then they throw up on your shoes. There's sort of like a pairing of those 2 ideas that makes it memorable in a player's head. So meaningful, memorable, push it forward. That's all I have for focusing on 2 memorable NPCs. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think we pretty much hit all the major points.
I think so.
You want to have 2 and probably no more. If you add more NPCs for a one-off, yes, this is all in the context of a one-shot.
Yep.
If you add too many NPCs, that interaction time is really what we're trying to minimize, because that interaction time between your players and that NPC
time suck
will eat all the time. I've had scenes that have gone on for like an hour and a half of our players just peppering a really interesting NPC.
I said I was sorry,
dude. That happens twice, and you still have like 2 hours left to do the rest of the adventure. Yeah. That hours 3 times. That's your whole game. That's your whole
Eric,
fucking game.
you can't come play with us anymore.
Yeah.
We want to roll dice.
Number 4, use time clocks to force decisions.
This one's going to have some strong opinions from the audience.
Fuck them. Let me know in the comments. If you got strong opinions,
fuck them.
Let me know. So, timers are important because you are literally, I watched a lot of Parks and Rec while I was sick. You are literally racing against the clock trying to run this game, which means that pressure is intrinsic to the experience, at least for you.
Yeah.
And you should make it clear to your players, the goal, before you even get to the table, you should let them know the goal of tonight is a complete story in 5 hours, period.
Yep. If you're not into coitus interruptus, then shut your trap and let's move.
Exactly. So time clocks are the perfect way to add pressure that's thematic while also accomplishing the goals that we have, which is to finish this adventure fast. So there are 2 kinds of time. There's 2 kinds of timers. An in-game timer, example, the ritual completes in 10 rounds, or the sandstorm reaches the temple in 5 minutes. And then there are real-world clock pressures. You can give players a set number of minutes to decide on a plan. I love this because it keeps the pace moving. Yeah. And it creates quick, messy decisions. Yeah. What I hate and love as a player, I love spending an entire session planning on how we're going to infiltrate the castle. As a DM, I hate it when my players spend an entire session planning how to infiltrate the castle.
Feel that in different ways, yes.
Because A, I want to play the game. Too. And B,
you don't get to have fun. We get to have fun.
Exactly. But B, you know, if you have one shot, that's not tenable.
Right.
It's just not tenable.
Sure.
So by giving players, all right, guys, here's all the information that you have access to. Ask me questions.
Mm-hmm.
You have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That creates a messy time crunch. And
which
if you
pisses a lot of people off.
If you couple that with a time crunching game where he has to be assassinated before Wednesday night and it's Tuesday because he gives a speech where he's going to change the fate of this whole country, then that's a real world time clock that mirrors your in-game time clock. So in a sense, your in-person planning is putting pressure on, your in-person planning, the 20-minute push, is thematically linked to the in-game planning of one afternoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking along the lines of players, you got to hurry this up because we got to wrap this game up in 30 minutes. So I need a decision now. Wait, we don't have all the details yet. We still need to go. I need a decision now. That I've been a player in that situation. I've been a GM in that situation. Home games, convention games, and it just rubs a lot of people raw.
Okay.
I think it would be wise to, besides telling everybody right at the outset, when there's a time crunch, we're going to be making messy decisions.
Yeah.
Maybe we can find some way to ameliorate the pain that comes from that. Because I imagine a lot of our goblins that are on the spectrum wouldn't be okay with that sort of thing. So what if, like, make a messy decision, it could result in harm. Here's a hero point. You know, just for getting us to the finish line.
Yeah.
Some sort of a micro-transactional reward.
Oh, how about this?
So they can take something away with the loss.
You could also gamify it even more. You could have, your player stuff. You start the game with 1 hero point. If you guys finish in 20 minutes, in under 20 minutes, you get a hero point. If you finish in under 10 minutes, you get 2 hero points.
Oh, I would love that. And I would be paying attention because I would want that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I would be helping everybody else pay attention because if I don't get it, it's their fault.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
I'm in,
That's
Robert. I'm here for it.
Cool. And of course the minutes, obviously, change them to whatever you want them to be. I just picked 20 because I pulled it out of my ear. But
I see a sub note here that says suboptimal choices make scenes exciting, unpredictable, and cinematic.
Yeah.
I love Guy Ritchie films. I just do. Yeah. Everybody's an idiot. Everybody's an asshole. And everybody's making shitty, stupid decisions. And it's hilarious. I'm here for that sort of thing.
Exactly.
So I've been in games where it's like you have to make the perfect, optimal decisions. Sure, that's one kind of experience. But there's room for flexibility here.
And, to use my favorite word, verisimilitude.
Yeah.
It's not very, we don't make perfect decisions in life.
We don't?
Even if we have a lot of time to plan.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I want to say that there's like a golden ratio of time to plan where the plans get really good and really good and really good. And then, they're going up and up and up. The quality of the decisions going up and up and up and up. And then you hit like an inflection point where now you've begun to overthink the plan and you begin rewriting other parts of the plan. You now, quote unquote, realize we're bad. Nah, fam, you're just tanking the quality of your plan even more now. Yeah,
as a guy who's rather prone to self-sabotage, I identify with this understanding.
There you go.
But my life is pretty interesting.
It's true.
That is number 4.
So, Eric, tell me about building great encounters that move.
Wow. I didn't realize we made this list so clean. It seems like every other one is mine.
You did a great job ordering them.
This one hit both of our lists for the obvious reasons. Yeah. Build one great encounter that moves. Again, I'm reaching for verbs here. People want action. So I broke this down into 3 parts. Number 1, plan a single big fight. Short, dynamic, maybe 3 to 4 rounds max. That's just my preference. With something that changes mid-battle. So the state of the battle, it shifts partway through, creating new, interesting, dynamic decisions that need to be made. It's not just stride, swing for like 7 rounds until you numerically reduce their hit points to 0 or below. Stride, swing, stride, ray shield, vomit on their shoes, get rid of the poison thing. And then suddenly there's like, the floor caves in.
Yep.
And everybody crashes 15 feet down. Make this save. Oh, you've got a reaction. Give people a chance to use their secondary.
You get placed in
abilities.
random parts in a new map.
Yeah. Do you grab something on the way down? Just like change with the change. And each, and this isn't something I do all the time. In fact, I don't do it as much as I should, but it's something I want to keep an eye on going forward. I feel like every single one of my combats going forward should feel like 2 combats that are kind of put together. The first part of the combat feels like this, and instead of going all the way to the end of the combat the same way, something shifts.
I don't think every combat should be that way. I think a lot of let me take this back.
Okay.
The way you run games just generally has so few combats in it that you could afford to just make them way more interesting. But I think in a normal game where combats are far faster and far
more frequent,
having this happen every 2 or 3 encounters is probably better, because a tiny little encounter, like a little taste, little snack, you know what I mean? A little snacky snack, a little, those are fun and crunchy, and they kind of just break up the monotony of interacting with NPCs.
Okay.
So they're not they don't have to be nutrient dense, you know what I mean? They can just be a fun little snack, or they could tell a little story about the world without being too big and interesting.
I can roll with that. Yeah. I guess I am thinking of meaningful combats, which in my games do tend to
and
be.
And our notes literally right here, like big fight. In the big fights, this should 100%.
The juicy ones.
Exactly. So one of my favorite one shots of all time. I was looking through the Pathfinder first edition. It might have been a 3.5 game, actually. No, this was Pathfinder. And I was trying to make the most powerful lich I could, because there was a lich template in first edition, and templates were basically just like as they sound. They were templates you applied to other monsters to make them more powerful or less powerful in the case of the zombie,
demon, vampire.
Yeah, lich. So
ice cream salesman.
Exactly. So the lich's ability all keyed off of charisma. So I just flipped through like 2 or 3 different monster manuals, and I tried to find the monster with the most charisma.
Okay.
And that was a nymph.
Oh, it wasn't the succubus. Okay, it was the nymph.
It was the nymph.
I guess that makes sense.
And you remember the nymph picture from the 3.5 monster manual? Grognards at home remember it very well. That was a scandalous.
It was charismatic.
It was a high charisma photo. So
perky charisma.
I created a whole one shot around a corrupted nymph who became a lich. So like nature lich. The end of this fight. So basically they followed a river that had turned sour. They discovered a giant fly trap eating monster. They defeated that. They went further up the river and they discovered the lich's lair, and they had to fight the lich, defeat her, and then go underneath the waterfall to her cave and find her phylactery and destroy it.
Okay.
Turns out the phylactery is also the thing poisoning the well.
Gotcha.
Super simple.
Yeah.
Well, what was cool about this was the nymph. So imagine a big waterfall, huge pond, right? And then in the center of the pond was a 60-foot wide, or I think it was like 60 or 100 foot wide, perfectly shaped stone circle that was 5 feet above the water.
Okay.
Perfectly flat, perfectly smooth. And the nymph had a little chair kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like a place to sit. And that's where she was waiting for the players to arrive. They go to attack her. They land on her, stage, if you will. And halfway through the fight, she casts Stone Shape.
Nice.
And she begins changing, like, at first she changed the whole angle of the whole thing. So they were just sliding down this perfectly smooth stone into the water that was poisonous.
Nice.
And another thing, she like created a huge barrier and cut the party in half because none of them could fly. These are big, really memorable moments.
Yeah. You got to use the environment
exactly,
as character.
Exactly.
I dig it. I particularly like the part where you took the undead nymph and created a nice little niche to explore there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about templates is you could just take two random fucking things.
Yeah, take a nymph and a lich and you make yourself an itch. It's and then you explore it because, charisma. Moving on.
God damn it, Eric. This is why we'll truly never be monetized.
Using the environment to tell part of the story, hazards, terrain shifts, objects players can interact with, make it cinematic and memorable.
Absolutely.
Stat blocks are not memorable. What they do with them in the places that alter them, that's what's memorable.
Yeah.
Give an encounter a goal beyond killing. So we already covered this. Grab the relic, protect the ally, escape alive, that sort of thing. It tends to keep the shifting objectives kind of like a tense and specific.
Mm-hmm.
So players don't have to, go to the bathroom, grab a beer, come back to the table and go, what is it we're here for again?
Yeah.
Can't tell you how many times that's happened, both as a player and as a GM. And it's, it's just lack of focus, I think.
In Sundered Waves, a great example of a bad fight were just the random ants.
Yeah.
The random cave ants that attacked you guys. And a great example of a good fight was, spoilers, I'm giving you the time now to turn the video off or to skip ahead.
3, 2, 1, go.
So at the very end of the fight, a voice comes on and basically says, there's this giant undead guy that represents the conglomeration of all of the enemies you fought. Defeat him and you will move forward. And it was like a metaphor, basically.
Sure.
That was a great example of a fight with big, juicy, interactive moving parts. This giant skeleton dressed like a fucking pirate was attacking multiple people at the same time. There were pillars to hide behind. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's all I've got for that one. Sweet. You had the last one.
My favorite. So this is coming from Sundered Waves, and I'm not picking on Sundered Waves, but it is my recency bias. And also it's just it's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, me too.
That I figured I'd bring up. So number 6, avoid puzzles and other time-wasting hazards. So Sundered Waves has not 1, but 2 puzzles for the players to figure out inside of the adventure path.
How did your players feel about that?
The first one was really fucking annoying.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I was one of those players.
How did you feel about it?
It was really fucking irritating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, the first puzzle was worse than the second.
Yeah. Well, the first one presumed knowledge.
The first one,
Pathfinder lore.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like the problem with riddles specifically and puzzles is that either your players can solve it easily. So the player character had nothing to do with success of the puzzle. Or your players can't figure it out. And now you have to rely on the player characters' roles to feed them hints and make them feel less dumb.
Yeah.
It's a lose-lose situation.
I feel like I could enjoy puzzles in a TTRPG, but they require the finesse of the setup to get the mileage out of it, to make it worth it. It's a lot of effort. It's the reason why I don't play Twilight Imperium 4th edition. I love that game.
Really?
But I don't get the returns on it, having to wait 45 minutes before it circles back to my turn. It's not worth it for how much I enjoy that game. So with puzzles, there's a similar experience. If you just like splash, you throw a puzzle at a party like you're splashing cold water on their face, devoid of context, really. You don't set it up so that the clues are interesting and meaningful. If it's just, what is a creature that barks like a dog and farts like a skunk? Okay, here's my puzzle. Let's figure it out, you guys. And we either do, and it doesn't really do anything except the plot thing, or we don't. Great. Now I feel stupid. I wasted a bunch of time, and it's a little feel bad.
And what the most important part that relates to our objective of this one shot is wasted a bunch of time.
Yeah.
Like
and like multiply that by the 5 players around the table.
exactly. If a puzzle requires a lot of setup and finesse to
Earn its place
at any table.
Yeah.
Bitch, you ain't got time.
Yeah.
You ain't got time in a one shot to set up anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's really what it is at the end of the day. Since we are talking about the structure of the one-off, don't have a puzzle.
Exactly.
I
Please
think
just
it's
don't have
safer
puzzles.
that way. There are so many more alternatives to the puzzle to get your money out of the effort you're putting in. The Pareto principle, getting what is it? 80% of your yields will come from 20% of your efforts.
Yep.
That says you eat the puzzle right there.
Yep, absolutely. So, and I don't want to say get rid of all hazards, get rid of all
I wanted to
encounters.
push you on that. Do you mean like capital H hazards as they're written in the book, or do you just mean like obstacles?
I mean, there are obstacles that require hazards are great, especially as written in the book, because they're very mechanically streamlined.
Sure.
You step on a button, click goes the button, and an arrow shoots out.
They're stand-ins for creatures.
Exactly.
So they're encounter mode things.
Exactly. And if you're doing like a dungeon delve, I will warn people against dungeon delves that are full of traps because they just force your players to move slowly.
Yeah.
So you either need to be okay with that, and it's just a trapped hallway, and that's your whole one shot.
You're doing the mummy's mask thing, or do something else.
Or have a time clock, like we said before, that forces them to run through that fucking trapped hallway and figure it out. And
speed run the hallway full of D4s.
If there's like a really complicated hazard in front of you that give your players too many options to figure out, and sometimes we don't even know what players are going to get tripped up on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Players could get really focused on a rack full of weapons, like in Sundered Waves.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And you just look at the players and you're like, no, guys, really, it's just a rack full of weapons. Please just move forward.
No, it's not a horse. It's a zebra, I swear.
Yeah, exactly. So
it sounds like you're playing around with bullet point number 2 here, focusing on meaningful challenges, combat, exploration, and skill checks that tie directly to the story, move the plot, and give consequences. So if the hazard is a series of jungle vines, and we're trying to cross a river full of alligators, that's a cool hazard. That's a cool set of obstacles. That's a cool like physical puzzle. And there's an array of skills that can be linked to that particular hazard. That is something that I feel would earn its place. But some weird ass riddle that Gollum scraped out of his butthole, I don't know. Call me jaded. I'm just not into that anymore.
The second puzzle that Sundered Waves gave us was a placement. It was a placement of items on pedestals. And you had to place the right items on the right pedestals in the right order. And what was neat about the puzzle was that there was a dais, that gave half of the information you needed. Excuse me. And then the players had a piece of paper given to them at the beginning of the session that gave them the other half of the information they needed to figure it out. This is the kind of puzzle that you could technically brute force. If your players threw up their hands, they could just brute force it.
Sure.
Which is good in the case of a one shot. The other thing was the players had physical objects in front of them. So instead of being a word puzzle where there's an infinite number of possibilities that you have to think of.
Right.
If you really have to do a puzzle or a riddle in the middle of your one shot, I highly recommend not doing it. No, I'm kidding. Give your players physical objects they could have at the table.
Yeah.
To put in front of them and work it out. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Give them props. Okay. If I could have done one thing differently in Sundered Waves, and if I could have rewritten that, I would have just added props to the handout sheet at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that
definitely would have helped.
You could have printed them out and showed them, arrayed them in front of your players.
And not for nothing, since we are using Sundered Waves as sort of our example for
our
most
fucking
of these.
Our whipping boy. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I promise we had a good time. It was a great fun encounter.
But to my next point, there were 3 players at the table. 1 player solved all the puzzles just because that's how their brain works.
My wife loves puzzles.
Yeah. And it was fabulous to watch her participate in that respect. So
because
I
she's
loved
normally
it.
like super quiet at the table, and very reserved. But then like when the puzzle came out,
Ooh, Sudoku.
yeah, exactly, literally, dude, literally, it was awesome.
So that it happened to work in our situation, but the other two players, me and the other guy, we were like, is this the answer? No. Is this the answer? No. Okay, well, let's dig around a little bit. What about this? Is this the answer? And then she just comes in and says, guys.
And it was hilarious too, because she was like, I'm pretty sure this is how it is.
It was awesome.
And then Jacques was like, let's think through this. And then he walks through the steps and he arrives at the solution.
The exact same place she did.
Okay, yeah, no, along with it. Sorry.
It happened like 3 times. We both did that.
Yeah.
And after like the second or third time, I'm like, I swear to God, I'm not trying to second guess your answer. I'm just trying to figure out how you arrived at the damn thing.
She's too fast, man. She's too fast.
I felt really dumb, but puzzles.
Yeah. Oh. So those are our 6 major tips.
Yeah.
We wanted this episode to be short and sweet, like
get Robert back in the saddle again.
Like your one shot should be.
Uh-huh.
So if you goblins at home like this kind of thing, we're more than happy. We have a lot more tips, trust me.
Yeah.
On running a one shot.
We are tip forward.
If you really like this kind of content, like, subscribe, let us know in the comments. Let us know on the Discord, which is linked in the doobly-doo. If you want to join the Patreon and have access to a bunch of cool shit, some custom world building material that Eric and I are cooking. If you want to support my medical fund, join the Patreon.
He's not kidding.
Yeah.
Doing all the didgeridoo stuff, thumbing and liking. I know it's irritating and repetitive, but it's the only way we can keep writing that squealing algorithm.
It's rad. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. We really hope you got a lot out of this. I had a blast getting back in the saddle and shooting another pod.
Yep.
Hopefully, I'll see you again.
Yep. Weird it keep.
Weird to keep. Keep it weird.
That's what I said.
We'll run that backwards and it'll say keep it weird.